July 1518, on a sweltering street in the city of Strasbourg, a woman named Frau Trophia stepped outside her home and began to dance. She had no music and no partner. She danced for hours until she collapsed, only to wake up the next morning and resume her solitary jig on swollen, bleeding feet. Onlookers tried to stop her, but her husband and then dozens of others began uncontrollably mimicking her thrashing movements and vacant stare. This image captures the vacant expressions and sheer density of the dancers. Within weeks, the crowd grew to nearly 400 people, all trapped in a state of continuous motion. This was a terrifying compulsion that overrode the human survival instinct, forcing victims to move until their bodies simply gave out. Modern observers often look at this mass behavior and assume a biological pathogen must be responsible. The primary suspect has long been ergot-poisoning, known then as St. Anthony's fire, a fungus found on damp rye that can induce violent muscle spasms and hallucinations. However, ergot toxicity restricts blood flow to the extremities, causing tissue death in the hands and feet. Sustained rhythmic dancing for days requires constant blood flow. Ergotism victims would be physically incapable of the balance and coordination seen in Strasbourg. There is also an epidemiological flaw. Ergot is a food poisoning that strikes a shared group at once, yet this event spread gradually through visual contact over several weeks. Because no biological pathogen sits the timeline or the physics of the event, the true vector existed within the minds of the citizens. This image shows the claustrophobic, towering architecture of the city. Strasbourg in 1518 was a physical environment on the brink of collapse. Successive crop failures had caused a severe famine, while the population was simultaneously ravaged by the agony of syphilis and a mysterious fever known as the English sweat. The citizens viewed this misery through the lens of a terrifying religious belief that Saint Vitus could punish sinners by cursing them with an unstoppable dancing mania. This was a mass psychogenic illness, a shared trance state triggered by extreme collective trauma and a high degree of cultural suggestibility. The dancers were a physical manifestation of a society buckling under intolerable existential dread. By midsummer, the scale of the crisis had reached 400 people, with reports of daily deaths from heart attacks and sheer physical exhaustion. Desperate for a cure, the Strasbourg City Council sought advice from the local physicians' guild. This diagram illustrates humoral medicine. Physicians focused on the hot and blood quadrant, diagnosing a dangerous internal imbalance. They concluded victims must burn off the fever, prescribing more dancing to restore balance to the body. Acting on this advice, the city council ordered carpenters to dismantle guild halls and build massive wooden stages in the grain and horse markets. They hired professional drummers, pipers, and horn players to provide a constant rhythm, forcing the afflicted to maintain the momentum. This intervention acted as a gateway drug. The music and the public spectacle captured the attention of vulnerable onlookers, pulling their stressed minds into the hypnotic rhythm. Instead of curing the epidemic, the city's meticulously planned medical response provided the exact infrastructure needed to weaponize it. In August, the council realized their error and moved to reverse their policy. They dismantled the stages, banned all public music, and forcefully cleared the streets to break the cycle of visual contagion. Authorities then shifted to a psychological countermeasure, loading the afflicted into wagons and sending them through a mountaintop shrine dedicated to Saint Vitus. At the shrine, the dancers were given red shoes and small crosses in a ritual designed to appease the vengeful saint. By removing the stages and providing an authoritative religious placebo, they broke the collective trance and finally quieted the streets. The 1518 plague demonstrated how extreme anxiety and cultural belief can manifest in the human body. It stands as a warning of institutional failure, of how authorities can unwittingly accelerate a mental crisis by applying the wrong diagnostic framework. When the next mass psychogenic contagion strikes a stressed, hyper-connected world, will we recognize it, or will we inadvertently build it a stage?